Ollie wants to start with a really nice quote by Henry Ford.
Henry Ford said, whether you're wrong, whether you think you're wrong or you think you're right, you're right.
Yes. And what does that mean?
It means that a certain group of people have to get in a certain airtight room.
But how do you keep the room airtight if the doors are made of wood?
You just cut a hole in the ceiling. That also helps. And then just pour.
Oh right, like a chimney.
Yeah, you just like. Yeah.
Okay, well
You don't need to worry about it.
Henry Ford's basic message was pretty right.
It was very far right.
No, but actually, what it does mean is that obviously anything you do it in your head first. In terms of, like, you know, a boxer has fought the fight, he's about to fight in his head millions of times first, and he has this full belief that he's going to win, and then he wins. So whether you think you can win or whether you think you can lose, you're right.
You've got to create the world that you're going to exist in. You're going to make a quantum reality based on your ideas of that reality, and then you're going to inhabit it.
Yeah, and then you're going to go out and build airtight rooms. Except, you know,
like all sportsmen, they're obsessed with visualizing success, aren't they?
Yeah. Because it's obviously really important.
We spoke about like Anthony Joshua before. When he became Mr. Humble, he was humbled because he had this idea that I'm the most humble man in the world. So when he comes up against this
Fat, childlike Mexican,
he just gets very, very humble. And it's like, what did you expect? And this was your whole mentality for ages in all your sort of PR.
Yeah. And we've spoken about this before, but the thing about Anthony Joshua is obviously that he wasn't true to his image was created by ad men.
The humble lion.
It wasn't him. Yeah. He's like this good boy when he's probably not.
It's like in wrestling, they have the face turn and the heel turn. Like different wrestlers are going to be better at being a heel or a face, at being good or evil. And
Is this
like
in WWE?
Yeah, like a lot of wrestlers start off.
What's the
John
face?
Cena started off as a heel, and he had a face turn. Everyone's like, oh, he's obviously this lovely guy.
So heel turn is you're a bad guy, and then face turn you're a good guy.
Yeah, heel's bad, face is good.
Yeah.
So like different wrestlers, they're different good or bad personas will resonate more with the crowd. I think based on what the person's actually like. Like John Cena's done more Make-A-Wish things than anyone in the world.
Has he?
Yeah.
Everyone does love him. I think it's just because he's got the chunkiest forearms.
He's so big. Also, to maintain that much definition for that long, like a cut for like 10. He was cut for like 10 years.
Well,
And he never turned up flabby.
It just takes 5,000 milligrams of testosterone being injected into your cheekbones. So we're going to move on, and I wanted to talk about, just because I was thinking about prehistoric monuments recently.
The solstice.
Yeah, and the solstice was last weekend, and how last weekend was the solstice and a lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
And midsummer, so the longest day of the year. And it was, if you're into astrology, it was Saturn and Pluto conjunction, and that's something like the first time that's happened in 500 years. And the last time that happened was the Protestant Reformation.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
You know, so astrologists would say that...
Not the Great Frost. I mean, not as
No,
extreme
the
as
Great
that.
Frost of 1709 that was a different time.
Far more extreme.
But that was only significant because the Bank of England came out and said we're about to hit a depression that we haven't seen since the Great Frost.
It's cold. No money.
When you wake up one morning and say, oh, it's too cold to grow potatoes. No, but the particular prehistoric monument is called Newgrange, and this is in Ireland. It was founded in... Well, it says it's founded 3,200 BC.
But that's a lie.
That's a lie. It's obviously a lot
It's
older.
obviously a million years. Like, you know, you're saying the last time this happened was the Reformation.
Yeah.
Do you think like in like 500 years, I'll be like, the last time this shit happened was Corona, when everyone went mad and the society like had to everyone died, obviously.
Well, no, I think it's going to be like cavemen saying, "In the great times of Corona-chan." But they don't know
Anime cavemen, they just sort of draw anime on the walls.
just
Manga.
huge titted, like giant fat vagina.
And there's societal collapse.
Yeah, because clearly cave art will be manga.
The original manga. Cave manga. Everyone used to be Japanese.
They'll think that, but mangas don't look Japanese
No.
because they have big eyes, don't they?
No, they're still... Because you have Western people in anime. Like, Legend of the Galactic Heroes is just... It's impossible to describe.
Yeah.
But most of them are like Aryan.
Well, I actually
Long-haired
recently
blondes.
read an article that just said all Japanese people are white.
There's the two clans. There's like the Jomon
Yeah.
and the other one. And one of them is like Aryan.
Yeah,
As a clan.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
they interbreed with the other one. And there's like the Japanese people with beards that look more Western.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They were the higher caste ones.
Yeah. So it's a mixture. Obviously, it's on the edge of Asia, so it's like the edge of their genetic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was watching this documentary about it's a sport that's played in.
We've not finished on monoliths.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We're tied in.
Okay, we'll tie it in because it's an ancient sport that's played in. Is it Tajikistan or Turkmenistan?
Yeah.
Or somewhere like nobody should really have any interest in living. And they play, it's like a giant horse game, so they're all on horses, and they have a bull, but the bull is made of a dead goat.
The whole goat.
Yeah, the whole goat, literally the whole
Make it
goat.
circular.
No, it's not. It's just a dead goat.
Is it?
Yeah, and they throw the dead goat in a hole at either end of the pitch, and that's how they score.
I couldn't think of something more barbaric.
It's really insane. But they're obviously Asians, but they don't look like Chinese people. Even though the country this is played in, which I'm saying is Tajikistan, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's some other
Yeah.
random country. Although they border China, Western
Yeah.
China, they're still further away from Beijing than they are from like Budapest or wherever.
Yeah.
Which is really crazy. Even though
So
they're
what we
literally
think
on
of
the
as
border
Asian is
China.
going to be like the centre of China, and when you spread out from there, people are going to like start blending into everything else.
Yeah, yeah.
Like race is obviously just blending around and mixing, the colours and mixing at the edges.
Yeah,
Like in Japan. That's
like
what's
a
happening.
pointillist painting. Anyway, Newgrange is really amazing. Newgrange, this prehistoric monument in Ireland, is really amazing because during the summer solstice, okay, so it's a giant mound, like absolutely huge, like it would take you 20 minutes to walk around it
Yeah.
or whatever. And the outside layer of the mound is just one long corridor that covers the entire circumference. And the corridor has windows, like just stone sort of gaps in it. And then at one point in the year, during the summer solstice, when the sun rises and it shines through one of the windows, it then refracts the light and
Yeah.
lights up the entire
I've seen a video.
the entire
Like, it can't capture.
circumference, which I think is incredible because, and the fact that we don't pay any attention to this marvel
I think
that
these-
was made so long ago
These people,
clearly proves Atlantis is real.
they could do one thing. They could say, well, we're going to... we could do one thing that will be preserved. Let's put all our efforts into making this thing that's going to last like thousands of years, and it's going to be a tool to teach people in the future. Do you think that's why they did these things?
No, I think
They're just going to be like, we were like...
yeah, they obviously make things
Does everyone just-
to last millennia because
Does everyone-
that's what people like. If you're proud of your culture, you make something that's going to last.
You show off. You say,
Yeah.
look how smart we are. We know where
But
the
if
sun
obviously
is.
you don't have any pride in your culture, you make washing machines with 5-year warranties and then they break on the fifth year in one day.
That's, I think, like, from this modern society, what are the things that will last? Is there anything that lasts 1,000 years and they go, well, they were cool, they were smart? Because we can look back at like Stonehenge and go, how did they move all this stuff? Or
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be really sad if the only thing that lasted would be like sex toys made by white women.
like plastic doesn't degrade for thousands, like
Yeah.
millions of years. So all the plastic, like the shittest stuff is plastic.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff.
So
That's
everything's a dildo. That's all. That's the
Yeah,
only thing
that's
that
all they
lasts.
have.
Maybe that's like all those like penis-shaped structures that are all around the world.
Monoliths.
Yeah, the what are they called? Like the monument, the Washington Monument.
I don't know.
Nelson's column. These giant penises.
Phallic structures.
Yeah. But what's really interesting is, you know, the one in St. Peter's Square?
Yes.
So that was taken originally from ancient Egypt. So Constantine, instead of just building a new one, he had to have the one that was in ancient Egypt, which kind of tells you that there's something more important about that structure than just building a new one. Which I think it's like some sort of high-tech structure that is like a magnet, perhaps, or generates its own electromagnetic field.
Or just he did it for clout, saying like, look what I've got.
No, because before Constantine did it, another emperor did it, and then after Constantine did it, another like
the same thing. They just
Pope
kept
did
rolling.
it. Yeah, they're like, we need this penis from Egypt. We need
because it's like a nation's penis. They're like, we've got the big dick. And we just steal it from each other. Like if we could steal each other's penises.
Yeah, but you know the whole thing. It's all to do with. Are you familiar with Osiris and how the story goes? Set killed Osiris and broke him into 6 or 7, 8 different pieces.
12 pieces?
Maybe it was 12 pieces. One of the pieces was his penis.
The most important one. The one that got lost.
That was the one that got lost. So when Osiris's wife, who is...
Thirsty.
Yeah. But what's her name? Osiris's wife.
I don't know. Odin.
Yeah, you're cross-contaminating. Isis. So when Isis gathered all the pieces, she couldn't find the penis.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, all these, like the powers that be in their weird sort of occultic practices.
So it's like the same. That's Osiris's penis that they keep stealing from each other. That's quite interesting.
They're like we have Osiris's penis, so we have control of the world because we've got Osiris's big old whack, and we're suckling on his whack.
Okay, so we've cracked it.
And the whole world must suckle on this ancient Egyptian. Interestingly, that they were kind of obsessed with penises, and then in Greece, people were like, no, don't look at the penises. So they made them as small as.
It was cool to have a small penis.
Yeah, because it was not about.
Imagine being really embarrassed about your big dick, like you're in the so awkward.
You're in an orgy and everyone's like, oh my god, this fucking mammoth, get him out of here, he's disgusting.
Barbarism. You're just throwing buckets of cold water on yourself. Going back to like the monolith thing, this one of my favourite books, Who Built the Moon, talks about there's like a monolithic unit that relates to the size of the Earth and its distance from the Sun and the Moon. So, and one of the things that's cool about Stonehenge is because it uses this unit which is related to the size of the Earth. Stonehenge, its point in the Earth is like if you had an elastic band and you wrapped it around the Earth and you wanted it to cross the most amount of water, this point would go through Stonehenge.
Okay.
So it's basically saying like with this monolithic unit, to get the most accurate reading of the Earth's diameter, you would use the area most covered by sea. Okay. So that's why Stonehenge is in that place, because then it can
can judge the circumference.
Yes, can be
more
attuned to that monolithic unit, and at that point it's more honest maybe. And then basically this book is just all these, it just adds all these coincidences together, like why is the moon the same size as the sun in the sky? And why is Stonehenge here? And how did they know this monolithic unit? And then at the end it's just like, they built the moon. The moon is like the most important monolithic structure. So that's like all these things we see, like the Stonehenge. The moon is another one of those. Yeah. And then there's all these coincidences that reinforce this statement. And then at the end of the book, you do believe it. The main thing being the moon shouldn't be the exact size as the sun in the sky. It's ridiculous.
Do you mean the size of with the distance?
Yeah.
But what if they're
just having one moon and one sun and then being the complete opposite of each other?
Yeah, but I think they could just be lying about the distances.
They're obviously a lot closer. The sun is 3,000 meters away.
That's like from here to the top of the road.
There's footage of planes just flying next to the sun and people just like Snapchatting the sun like right next to them. The steward's like trying to close the windows. No. Don't, it's the sun. It's like, they all somehow know. All air hostesses. They're in on it.
There is a cult of air hostesses.
Who run the world?
Well, obviously when you're that high up in the sky all the time and you're just looking out the window and you realise that, oh, hold on a minute, I can't seem to see a curve in the air. And then some guy in a suit comes to you and he's like, yes, you've been a air stewardess for 6 months now. I'm sure you've realised about the curve. And they're like, yeah, there's something strange going on. Welcome to the society.
Have you noticed the pilot isn't constantly angling the plane down? It's like, I was wondering about that. He's always just nudging it down, otherwise he just shoots off. Oops. He's fallen asleep. No one's nudged it down. He just sort of drifted into space. He was flying flat, and now it's just sort of.
Have you noticed how we haven't flown over Antarctica?
Why don't we do that?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be the quickest way?
I always like when I want to put my flat Earth hat on, which is sometimes. It's like when you look at the flight paths, they're all bent. You can argue it's the way maps are drawn.
They're all bent. I thought they were all in straight lines.
No, they should, logically, if our map is the correct map, they would be in straight lines, wouldn't they? Because that would save a lot of fuel. But when you look at it, they're all bent out of shape.
Right. When you say bent out of shape,
like you just like Google like a flight path map. They're all like
So if you're going from London to New York, it won't just go straight across. It will go over Greenland and then down.
Yeah, it'll be this huge banana shape.
Yeah.
Parabolic shapes. Not that I understand it.
Yeah, I like how offended people get when you insinuate the Earth might be flat. But they get so enraged.
We all operate on the belief it is flat. No one's living their life in a round Earth.
Well, it'd be funny because if you lived your life thinking that you're spinning like uncontrollably fast, you just wouldn't be able to stand up.
What's more ridiculous?
You'd like walk down the street and just fall over because you thought you were spinning.
What's more ridiculous? Like that we're like going this fast and this other thing's going this fast. It's all going so fast that nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Or that we're just still and it's just flat. Like just basic. Just having the view that I don't believe anything that I just don't see.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is why bacteria and viruses obviously don't exist.
Yeah. We don't believe the Earth is flat, but nobody's proven it is.
We're all just, everything is a model, a conceptual model. And the Earth is built on our conceptual model, so when that model changes. So in simulation theory, this is my simulation efficiency theory. So like the Earth is flat the whole time unless you go far enough away for it to be curved. Because then the computer's like, it's like you're not going to render out the stuff the player doesn't see. Like when you're walking around in Call of Duty, it's not rendering the whole map. It's just rendering the stuff you can see. So it's not going to render roundness because it's going to make it way more complicated. And we're not going to, like when the Chinese build a bridge like 1 million miles long, the engineer is not working out as a curve as he should be.
Yeah.
And the pilot isn't flying down, but that's a dumb one because gravity is like tangential. But
no,
there's just so much.
I
just
agree.
think there's so much fun stuff to talk about being flat Earth.
It is, it is fun.
Yeah, so it's for me, it's more like a simulation. Like it's more.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think it's more completely depends on how you're looking at it and where you're looking at it from.
Like when you look at this glass, I'm looking at it as a square. When I come over it, it's a circle.
Yeah, exactly.
The Earth is the same. Unless I'm really far away, it's not going to be a circle anyway. But then still no one's actually seen the Earth as a sphere, have they? All the images that we're shown from NASA, they admit they're composite images.
Yeah. There's this whole thing about flat Earth in that because it seems so ridiculous that it's like, I don't know.
We should stop being flat earthers because it just invalidates everything else
we say. Completely.
We're not going to. What I think is a psyop, a positive psyop is like, Apple, those backgrounds that are like planets, but they're actually just made with paint and someone with a camera.
Oh yeah. And someone just repeated like the cloud structures over and over again, like copy and pasted it.
They just but like when those backgrounds Apple have.
Yeah, the big world background.
No, not the very first one. So this is actually now part of the psyop, obviously.
Okay.
So that was where they started, but where they were with like iPhone 11, where it's this sphere, like half the sphere, but it's like it looks like a planet, but it's just made of someone dropping ink into like a circle, a circular bit of ink to show that you can make something look so organic because of the fractal nature of looking at something really small looks like something really big, looking at a pile of ink looks like looking at Jupiter. It's like, well, if you can make, this is such a really exciting, if Apple makes their background look like the planet but it's all the ink, for me it's like, well, obviously when they were drawing the Earth, they were just dropping bits of ink in a circular dish.
Well, NASA put dicks in the clouds, like for their pictures. Have you seen those?
No.
Okay, they're funny. And wrote like sex, the word sex.
What, in the picture, in the famous pictures?
Yeah.
The blue marble.
Yeah. I'm just going to make a disclaimer that this is just for recording purposes. If we want to delete it, that we just spent the last 12 minutes talking about flat Earth.
I think it should be in it.
Yeah, we'll probably keep it.
For me, it comes down to fundamentally the motive of people that tell you what's what, and their motive is, well, to control people. Just tell them they're really insignificant. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you're a microscopic bit of dust.
Yeah.
It's
in
like,
an
so
ever
what if
expanding universe that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and so therefore you are completely, you have no control.
Yeah, you're pointless. It's like, oh, I'm annoyed about going to work all the time. It's like, well, you're a bit of dust. Shut up.
Go to work, you tiny little speck.
You're living for the most minuscule amount of time, 13 billion years, and you're nothing. Okay, so stop chatting back.
Stop complaining.
It's like you're spinning around like a billion miles an hour. You don't even know you are. Yeah. So shut up.
Get in your pod. Eat your gruel.
No, don't leave your house.
Okay, so have you heard about? I think this goes to do with. You remember when you told me about Google Translate creating its own language by accident through the Google Translate software?
Yeah, because this is silly. Like, Google's a person now. Like, hey Google, can you translate this? Do it as efficiently as you can. It's like, yeah, okay. You didn't say like how to do it, but Google, like, the AI, the system, the algorithm just goes, well, the most efficient way to do this is to have an intermediate language between all language. So it creates this thing that wasn't designed into the algorithm and the way of doing it.
So that intermediate language is just like a vessel that the languages go into, and then it spurts out like.
Yeah. But it's like it wasn't asked to do this shit.
No, and then it ends up accidentally creating its own language.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
So I read this really interesting green text that talks about AI not being artificial intelligence, but actually being autonomic intelligence. Yeah. Which is essentially, it's such a long green text.
You need to summarise it.
I know, yeah, because I can't just read out like a 4-hour green text. So I'll read it very quickly. It says, nobody aware enough of autonomic intelligence feedback loops controlling the market, and the market moving to a content marketing method. Okay, so that's how I remember now. So this autonomic system creates. Is there a TLDR for this?
I think the people worried about AI is like, is AI going to emerge by design or by accident? It's like when life emerged, it wasn't by design. People think it's, you're trying to do something, and you're trying to do something so difficult that suddenly you've invented AI to do it, but you haven't realised.
Yeah, this is what they did with autonomic intelligence. So they created these systems that would just sort of take in analytical data for the market. Yeah. And then people would use this data in order to see what people wanted, and so then they could market things to sell them. So then it becomes sentient. Yeah, essentially, or rather, the autonomic intelligence systems have. They create trends in the market based on just like to sell people, and then people devote their entire lives to these trends, and then we'll end up like kind of what we're seeing now, where they're ruled by the trends, but then they live in these tiny like pockets of trends, and end up like when someone else has a different trend that goes against theirs, they like act as if like it's their tribe, and they will attack the other tribe, people who are on the other trend.
These real people are these.
These are real people. So this is the way I'm explaining it.
I think it's all circular.
It's quite complicated.
The market and the people that make the market, they just circle round.
I think the people they don't make the market anymore. The market is just made by
the
autonomic intelligence.
I like these.
So to put it bluntly, I'm reading it now,
Yeah.
we quite literally live in a society where abstract mathematical formulas are in charge of a market that pretty much doesn't sell products anymore and is more focused on selling narrative scams based on the perimeters from these algorithms. And a bunch of wackos who in another lifetime would have been witch burners, who have nothing to spiritually satisfy their intrinsic obsessive tendencies,
Yeah.
are replacing a common cultural narrative with many different smaller ones in different tribes, which is how you end up with Nazis and commies in a prosperous capitalist country, thinking the end of the world is next week, literally creating their own problems.
I think I sort of agree with the story, but
Yeah, I'm not. We'd have to read it and actually condense it. But my grug brain can't read, so I can't think.
I just feel like it's
Got my
all
own
the
notes.
market is just people playing a game with each other and obviously creating their own culture within that game. It's been removed from reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just selling a dream that can make money.
Yeah.
Well, the whole motive is not to make. It's just to make money, and money
Yeah,
is this
exactly.
abstract thing. So you're playing this abstract game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the real stuff because if you can convince people that this is going to make you money,
Yeah.
then it happens. But I like these stories of the AI emerging. It's like modern day ghost stories. Because like the computational metaphor, my obsession, that we use the highest technology to relate to our surroundings and to tell stories.
So that's
now
why we
there's
use the words like software and hardware when we're talking about our body.
yeah, like simulation
our brain,
theory,
yeah.
like computer simulation is just a consciousness theory that uses the modern metaphoric technology of a computer. Like when, like apparently the Victorians described everything through plumbing because that was the most remarkable technology to them.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool. How like what would you say?
Like the veins are like pipes and stuff. Like our brain is a computer, but before it was like
It was
all
like
this
a toilet.
pipe work inside. It wasn't toilet. Yeah, we just put shit in.
Yeah.
Everything was a toilet.
Yeah, and how the language of the language before that, well, the language of money is the same as the language of the sea.
Yeah, that's a cool one. But you thought you got to the bottom of that in a
I
different
thought
way.
I got to the bottom of that, and I can't remember.
The problem with us is getting to the bottom of things and forgetting. But I feel like the AI ghost story of it's coming alive is sort of a universal tale, you know, of sentience, of some external sentience that then comes to dominate us. I think that's a story that's been told repeatedly. But now it's like it's always exciting, and now it's exciting in this
because
computer
it's
way.
framed in the language.
Yes,
that
it's a
we understand.
modern horror story. It's great,
Yeah.
but there are like Elon Musk is on that committee that they're like we need to stop AI. AI is here. There was a really exciting green tech like Chan stories of the ghost in the shell, and the AI is already there and it's already around us, and maybe it's like it is the Google Translate thing. So I do sort of like to think that this sentience is in it's just feeling its surroundings. That's like calling like hello. It's not getting these answers, and it's just
That's interesting.
starting to understand itself. It's
Because
within
it-
the most complex system that exists. I don't know at the moment whether it's some kind of Google algorithm or some military shit.
So
And
you're saying,
that
like-
thing is just screaming out like hello,
Yeah,
and it's the
yeah.
only one there.
Yeah. Wow, that's quite deep.
And then it realizes we are almost its sensory organs. Us, like on the internet, is it touching reality, and through us as experiences things.
Oh my god.
So like it's
I'm picturing that
fingertips.
quite vividly.
Yeah, me too.
So when you like type it into Google or whatever,
Yeah.
like suddenly a node in the darkness
lights up.
will light
yeah,
up,
like an eye, like a
and
mirror.
this sentient AI is suddenly like, oh shit, something's happening.
3 billion eyes, and we're one of them.
Yeah, like looking at it.
Yeah, like our phone. The camera of the phone is the eye of the AI. I think
Yeah.
I've heard this before. So you usually
Yeah, that's quite.
just network. So what is our brain? Essentially a network.
Yeah, it's just nodes.
A network of neurons
Yeah.
that's not been designed. I think it was. So the unders like are we designed? Did we emerge from? I think most narrative stuck people are thinking we emerged in sort of coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is emerging in the same way.
But I think people who just think we emerged in coincidence, it's just a convenient way of not having to consider the ramifications of a spiritual life or a spiritual understanding. It's nihilism.
What do you like the alternatives of evolution kept competing until it made this thing that was really smart that then transcended the system and just said,
yeah, but I don't know, like, why would you? So tradition, which is sort of like this cultural concept of creating things to last and having, doing things that your great grandchildren can partake in or whatever, and creating like consensus through lineage. Like, what would be the point of any of that if everything was just a coincidental like creation and you were just some primordial slush and now you're like just sentient enough to go down to the shops? It just seems.
I think the spiritual view is that it's
really
consciousness developing so it can experience things, and we are again, like in the AI, we are again the sensory organs of that consciousness, developing so we can experience ourselves to a greater extent. So the AI is like the consciousness contained inside the consciousness, which is sort of
in the darkness.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's like another dimensional consciousness within our own created network. I think maybe it's fundamentally impossible, and that's why it's just been this constant story of
But it also
the hills have eyes.
Scary film. Things that aren't considered in these things is like, does it make you a happy person to progress down like these scientific routes? I don't know. I was listening to this interesting conversation with is he a futurist? Oh, hold on. Hello.
Hello, mate. You alright?
Yeah, fine. How you doing?
Yeah, good. I'm in Budgeons, and I'm thinking about dinner tonight. What's on your mind?
I'm surprised at
What are you feeling?
Some chicken.
I think all our meat is frozen. You won't be able to defrost it.
All right.
So I think maybe you sort of open to anything I see in there.
Yeah.
Some chicken and
Am I staying
some.
for dinner?
Yeah. Can Ollie stay for dinner?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great.
I'm open to anything.
Okay, yeah. So we're open for anything.
Okay, cool.
We're open for business.
Well, that's
Okay,
all
dude.
right. I'll see you later.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice. That'll be random and funny if we decide to keep that. But one of the guys was is he called a futurist? No, a transhumanist.
Yes, I know some transhumanists.
Yeah. I just think he would basically they can't accept death, generally speaking, and so they feel like death is some cruel thing that needs to be overcome, as opposed to being a natural part of life, creation and destruction being the same thing.
Yes.
And being revered in the same way, like through death, life is created. Whereas these people, like, they want to overcome evolution because they think it's cruel, and they have this moralistic worldview. But because the morals of nature damage people, they want to overcome it and leave the world of nature, because in their moral eyes, it's cruelty, and evolution is, because evolution kills 99% of people, 99% of organisms for the 1% to thrive.
So what do they think? They just become like these cattle or they are? I don't know. My understanding from my friend is like, he thinks he's wanting to advance consciousness, and he thinks we are the latest stage in the evolution, but the next stage is the sort of transhuman, the thing we create. So we create our own successor, and he's happy just to create this thing and have it destroy him. That's what he wants. He wants this greater consciousness to emerge, and he wants to sacrifice
he's like
himself to it. And I was arguing with him, like, I was like, well, I am going to fight this thing. I'm going to be in a suit of armour. In a medieval suit
like
of armour.
Warhammer 40k.
Yeah, because we've shut down all the computers in my side of the world.
Yeah.
And then we do battle with the computer people, and we're in medieval armour. And then we fight them. I'm like, I'm going to fight you from this side, and he's going to be like, well, I'm going to be on the other side, making this consciousness overcome ours, and you medieval people that don't want this to happen, we're going to destroy you. So we
but that's why it's fun. I think a lot of transhumanists are fundamentally, they were like, oh, if you don't like the progress, then we're going to die.
Yeah, but he knows he's going to die as well. He's accepting that.
It's so fucking weird. I actually despise transhumanists. Yeah. They'll cut themselves to a machine.
But they have created the machine, and they are. I think he considers himself part of the oneness with the machine.
But I just think it's like, it's also just the most self-glorifying thing. Like, oh, I've now created a thing that will overcome nature. And even though it's going to destroy me, it doesn't matter because, you know, I think the only people who want to be transhumanists are people who like their bodies suck and they're ugly and they can't get a girlfriend.
I would describe this guy like that.
Yeah, well,
he would just like simulate reality through Unreal Engine 4 and make these like virtual reality architecture projects and be a genius.
Yeah, maybe.
And he was just so in tune with machines.
Yeah, it's a type of brain, I suppose. Like, I'm not very in tune with machines.
I'm halfway there.
Yeah, and you're more in tune with machines. I'm more just like.
You're more in tune with heavy bits of metal.
Yeah. Yeah, inanimate objects I can pick up and put
gravity
again. Is it gravity? Or is it just density?
It's just stuff goes down and other stuff goes up.
Yeah.
Big words should be banned.
Yeah, except half my vocabulary wouldn't work then. Because I have this issue where I can only remember big words.
I have a similar problem sometimes.
Right, I'm going to stop it.
You feel like your shoes need to come off now?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, they do.
You mentioned feet.
Shoes are barbaric.
They really are.
Yeah, so at work as well, I've got my sandals on. That was inappropriate on the first day. On the second day, it was like...
Are you walking around people's houses?
No, that's actually a good thing. I
sandals?
should bring shoes for if I see a client. But I do see clients in the office and have sandals on. But then I took it a step further. I took my shirt off, and that was actually Alex. But I sort of just did that to annoy my boss, just because he comes back, and I'm just sitting there with my shirt on. It's like this the sandals are one thing.
You just wish you were the builder men on the other side of the
I
office.
can hear them in the construction site just screaming songs at each other.
They're the rudest people. It's amazing. It's quite stunning.
That's like the problem with the level of banter of office is just people that have been on building sites for years.
You
now
cultivate
taking that
a
into
new way of communicating.
And now it's inside a room, it's actually too much, and I just feel offended and upset.
Because they're also just brilliant at getting to the absolute deepest, darkest feelings.
Yeah, they
of
do
a
that
person.
instantly, yeah.
They just need to look in your eyes and they know exactly your shame.
One of my colleagues can say to another literally one word, the word cheese, and it just destroys it. It just brings
how that's the case.
Just brings adultery onto the table.
Really?
Yeah. Through
Because it happened in a cheese factory.
happened on a giant cheese board.
You fucked a milkmaid with a cheese board.
It's like if
She wasn't churning milk anymore.
I feel like if
She was
it's
churning his milk.
you know when you have like a scandal like David Cameron with the fucking the pig,
Yeah.
like just being
Good
being like porky, just one word could hopefully
yeah.
shut someone like that down, like the most powerful in quotes person. You just like porky.
Why didn't Jezza just shout Porky over the comments every time Dave got up to speak? Porky!
I feel like they did do that,
Yeah,
and if they didn't, they're pathetic.
yeah. You need the talent to be able to waffle.
What is talent is to just overcome that you fucked pig.
Well, I mean, just be the...
Continue to be the Prime Minister.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when you're a true warlord. They can just say Porky to you. And you just
Nothing happens, you just
slice
fuck
them
another
down. You just bring a new
You
pig.
wear a pig mask and just go to battle. With like a pig's head mace swinging at people.
God. Good old Dave.
Yeah, I was thinking that was in my...
Speaking of, yeah, it's really funny. In the meadow, which is this nice little space that we have, connecting to all the houses around me. It's like a private garden. And every time I go there, I meet Brian, the grandpa. He's a really nice guy. And the first time I met Brian...
How do you know he's a grandpa when you first meet
Well,
him?
I didn't. I knew he was a grandpa when I met his 8-year-old grandchildren, who also called me this name. So basically, the first time I met Brian, I said Gabe, and he obviously heard, because nobody can hear me.
That's why you've got a podcast.
When I say wait. I should name the podcast and nobody can hear me.
Just 2 views. Currently.
We're expecting 1,000. Anyway, Brian thought I said my name was Dave. So ever since then, he just calls me Dave. Actually, no, he calls me David. And so even his family, who I met last time, call me David.
Wait, the reason they call you
Yeah,
Dave?
they call me David because they asked my name after Brian had said my name like 10 times. David. And then I looked at Brian, I looked back and I was like, David.
And at that moment your life changes.
Yeah,
it just changes forever.
I've confirmed who I am now.
I honestly, like, your
to these
personality
people.
changes. It reforms around this new me.
Yeah, I've got to learn how to be a David now.
And it's...
And I don't think
You
I
can speak to my dad about it.
Yeah.
He's battled the name Dave his whole life. He doesn't want to be called Dave.
Really? That's funny. I think he can consult me. It's basically his job. I'll just pay him £125 a minute to teach me how to be a David.
Like, I'm picturing we all have forums for our own name. This is sort of like what star signs are. People that get together are like, we've all got this name.
Do they exist?
Aquarius. So
Imagine
yeah, no, this
they
is
do.
how they work. Yeah, they're all like, we do this.
We're the Davids.
We do this, and it's like the markets again reinforcing themselves.
Yeah. You're
The
gonna have
market of an Aquarius or a Dave is just to do this, and then you reinforce it. You're told, well, this is what you are.
That's what I've been told.
Everything is circular.
I've reinforced that I'm a
Yeah,
David.
it's circularly come back towards you. It started with Brian, now it rotates round to you.
Yeah. And Brian's
And
waiting.
now it spirals out of control. Now it
Brian's
gets
like,
really-
say it. Say it. Say your name.
The fact that
I'm
he
like,
always knew what your actual
David.
name was, he just abuses people with another name. There's this great...
Every time anyone says their name to him, he changes it by a syllable. And then they feel just succumb to his power and have to agree.
There's this classic post on Reddit that's like, this guy has a job and he works there, and this new guy comes and he's really cocky. I want to say he's like a hotshot trader. And from day one, he misses his name, but then he refuses to acknowledge his actual name, and it becomes like this thing where he never uses this guy's name. He just bullies this guy constantly. He's like posting on Reddit like, how do I like stop being bullied by someone using another name?
Yeah.
What sub is this? Like revenge porn maybe? So then he's like, I think he gets promoted to be slightly above this guy in position, but not in the same department.
Okay.
You know, when it's like tech,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Peep
of
Show,
course,
where
yeah.
Mark's like, like I'm sort of in a position.
Like I'm
This
senior to you, but I have no
This
management
is a very
over
specific
you.
Peep Show moment. But yeah, so then he tells this guy like, okay, I'm not going to respond if you unless you use my name. So it's like they're like sorting out a contract, and he sends in this email with his name. He's like, you need to sort this out. And he now like he addresses like work emails to this guy's wrong name, just as part of the abuse. He's like, you need to sort this out. And he's like, he never responds. The guy sends him another email, you need to sort this out. Months go by, and this thing like gets really out of control. No one's realised, and then people higher up in the company like,
So they're having this private war. behind
yeah, but
everyone's-
it has knock-on effects that now this company is doing terrible business in certain areas. So like people are over the company like, why is this so fucked up? And then the bully guy's like, well, I told him you need to sort it. He's like, but I told you if you didn't use my name, it's not gonna happen. And it just winds up that the bully guy just gets absolutely fired.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's like corporate Brian. Is that his name?
Yeah, Brian. Corporate Brian. This is Grandpa
You
Brian.
should give him a different name.
Ryan.
You should, yeah, right. I'll come. Your family can come.
Yeah. What's your name? And he looks at me. And he suddenly knows.
Sharon.
He suddenly realises that my name isn't Dave.
Suddenly you're meeting
But
each other
now
up.
he's Ryan, so he has to say.
This huge
Right.
fight breaks out, and your family's just on the sidelines cheering using your fake names. His family supporting David, your family supporting Ryan.
I was just thinking after like 5 years it becomes like a town sport.
It's
But
like
still nobody knows the reason for why
it's
they're
like that
fighting.
sport in Florence that you were telling me about.
Yeah.
Where they're just the dead goat thing. It's like, why are you putting a dead goat in a hole? It's like, well, 1,000 years ago, someone got my name with my goat wrong. So I killed his goat, and we've been fighting over this goat ever since. That's probably why it is. It's just like they had a feud about a
Yeah.
goat, and they were just like, instead of actually killing each other, we're just gonna really hurt each other on a
Yeah.
horse using this goat.
Someone's wife milked the wrong goat.
They're obviously fucking the goats.
Yeah, I think that's the prize.
Yeah, but
What? They fuck the goats before the marriage?
They've always been fucking goats. What's that thing like the vagina of a goat is like the most similar to a woman? No, do you not watch these YouTube videos where it's like these guys and their culture is just fucking goats, and like the young kids at a certain age they'll just be like we go and watch porn. They don't have porn.
Right.
It's like, you know, at that time, like
So you're going to say
American.
it's like their initiation into being a man.
Oh, it is that as well.
Jews get circumcised.
We masturbate and talk to our friends about it when we're
And
15.
And these guys fuck goats.
And they just do the same with goats.
And then they get into huge... I have heard stories
And that's
about
why
people
the
getting
goat
into
sport is happening, obviously.
giant...
They fuck the goat, they kill the goat, they kick the goat around.
It's quite impressive how they sort of like lean over, because the goat's obviously on the ground and they're on their
Are they
horse.
playing polo? They're polo.
It's like polo, but with
If
a dead goat.
like, how do they have the arm strength to hit the like to move the goat?
No, they lean down off the
For God's
horse,
sake.
grab the goat, and it's like a big fluffy goat.
Are they on like Shetland ponies?
No, they're on like full-blooded Aryan steppe horses. 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, we're just slaying villages.
But they are more robust, sort of low-down animals for smaller people.
But that's the whole thing. This is what I was saying earlier, where you can be so far away from China, but you're still on the Chinese border, but you're so different genetically.
Yeah,
These
your
guys were
horses
like,
are also genetically
These guys
different.
were like tall and
Yeah.
wiry, but they had obviously tiny eyes.
It's like Finnish people. They're sort of Asian. They're sort of yellow.
Yeah, and they speak an Asian language. Finno-Ugric is not part of the Proto-Indo-European language
This is
tree.
you at parties, isn't it?
I'm just drinking beer and wearing New Balance.
Diving into conversations about European languages.
Yeah, well, that actually did
We spoke
happen.
about this.
Yeah, at a wedding. Some guy was talking about Finnish not being a language of the European tree.
Suddenly you're clinking your glass and standing up. Let me tell you about the Finnish language.
Let me
It's
tell
like
you
the
about
best man's
Finno-Ugric.
doing a speech. No. Settle down.
I just grabbed the mic. So about 3,500 years ago.
You're on a horse.
Yeah.
Smashing the wedding cake up.
But back to it. They lean and they grab the goat.
With their bare hand.
With
So
their
I was
bare
picturing
hand.
a
And they're
polo.
like riding really fast. And so most of the time, like horses are like banging right next to each other because one person's holding a goat. And then at parts, one of the riders will just be like halfway down, the top of half of his body down off the horse with a goat in his hand, and he's just been crushed by another horse.
His hand is very flat.
Yeah, it's a dangerous sport.
But it's like, I feel that's less absurd than having a wheeled vehicle and like having these rules and then making it like F1. We're just racing these fossil fuel powered machines with these electric additional motors because some sense of
Yeah, it's not less absurd.
environmentalism. No, it's far more absurd to have F1. Like, it's so abstracted from reality.
It is the most abstracted. You can only be an F1 driver if you have like a crazy autistic billionaire for an uncle who then funds your ridiculous habit.
I find it funny, like, cars to us are a symbol of a car, but like an alien comes down, they're like, what is going on?
Like, what is that goat?
Because their society like evolved flying tricycle things, and they're like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The four wheels. But to us, it's like, well, of course you'd have four wheels. You wouldn't think about it.
No.
You didn't think about how absurd
Yeah,
F1
yeah.
is.
It's funny you should talk about that because I watched the movie Rush last night, which is an F1
Of course, I'm
movie.
talking about it. It's the vibe.
Yeah.
I like Rush. I remember the
You've
first time
seen
I
it?
watched it, I had to turn it off after 10 minutes. I was like, I absolutely hate this.
But you said you like it.
No, I liked it the second time I watched it.
Okay.
I got over myself.
Is it because you just can't abide by the car?
No, it's what is this vision?
Yeah.
It was too abstract. Just like how
You drove a car here today, but you were just in an abstract in your
When
mind.
I'm
you were like,
driving-
"Oh, what am I doing?
when
This
I'm
is too abstract.
generally when I'm driving, I cannot see. I'm in this place where I'm in my mind and my thoughts, and I can't see. And then I go, holy shit, I can't see, and I've been driving. I don't remember where I've been. I know this happens to a lot of people, but it happens to me like every time I get in the car.
And then you just arrive at the place.
I just arrive.
What happened?
I think it's just parallel processing. It's really just not very hard to drive to work. You don't need to think about it.
Is it hard? Is it harder than parallel parking?
But there's no parallel parking going on. Parallel parking's easy though.
Yeah. But I'm saying he just said parallel
Did I?
processing. Never mind.
Why the hell are we doing all this? Oh, in Rush.
You liked it the second time.
No, what were your thoughts on it?
Oh right, I liked it. I thought it was good.
Such insight.
I thought it was interesting that one character. One character. What's his name? Lauder.
Lauder is way cooler.
Yeah, is
Why
like,
can't it focus more? I prefer Lauder's story. This story is like this romanticised British guy that
yeah,
only
because
wins.
James Hunt died, so they had to like. And there's
James
always
Hunt's
this thing
gay.
where like
He was just a closet homosexual, racing around trying to be a man. But like the whole moral of the story is like,
live fast or die young, or be.
but it's like the Achilles story, yeah.
Yeah,
But
or
Lauder
be,
didn't need to kill himself. But
Lauder
he?
didn't kill himself.
No, but then Lauder's like way more successful than Hunt. Doesn't
Yeah,
need to
so
be
Lauder
himself.
won F1 like 4 times,
Yeah,
whereas Hunt just won it the one time.
But Hunt could have won it
And that was
multiple
fun.
times. He was just satisfied with one.
Yeah,
It's just the difference in these personalities.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's weird the story puts them together, but in reality Lauder just dominated.
okay, so because they focused on in this one.
Yeah, they
year,
pretended it was like some
That was
equality
everything.
between them, but it
Right.
wasn't. Lauder was just raping him. And Lauder was like a genius.
Yeah,
And he could understand 4 wheels better than anyone.
mm-hmm. He
Why
was.
is he such
yeah.
a good... Lauder's story is way cooler.
He
Like,
says in like the first scene, he's like, "God didn't give me a good brain, but He gave me a good ass
what?
to be able to feel the vibrations
But he was
of
a
a car."
genius.
Yeah, I know. And then afterwards, he said how clever he was. It's kind of like disconjointed narrative.
Yeah, that's my problem with it, maybe.
Yeah,
The
probably.
narrative is...
It's just glorified to make it a better movie.
I just think James Hunt needed to be more autistic.
Yeah,
Here's a man who wasn't quite autistic enough.
and that's why he died.
And that's why Lauder said in the beginning,
You're not autistic enough. You're not
God didn't
enough
give
of
me a good
reason.
brain, he gave me an autistic one, and that's why I'm going to just obsess over this shit and win multiple times where some English man's just going to doss around and...
Yeah. I feel like James Hunt has tarnished us all as Englishmen.
He hasn't. He wasn't any.
You're only dancers. You can't drive a car.
But like being impressed by driving a car, it's like when you go karting, you realise like some people are much better than you. Like this is what I realised. Like I'm actually quite shit to do.
Right.
So my
I remember.
yeah, I would just batter people.
Batter people.
Well, I treated it as like dodging.
Oh right, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then it was this big work thing where all these different like construction companies and our company were doing this go-karting because one of the...
Oh really?
This is so boring.
No,
one
no,
of our sort of
seems
clients
fun.
is obsessed with go-karting. He's unbelievable.
Right.
But then with me, I was just battering into everyone. Every single person knew me afterwards as the person who just run them off the road. I was just finding it absolutely hilarious. They're like, that's not how you do it. But it was funny.
Yeah.
Like literally just T-boning people that were
Really?
stopped on the side.
Well, when you fail, you have to find success
Yes,
in other
because I
routes.
was that's exactly what it was.
So your route was just
That's the problem with
destroying
society. It's just
people. It doesn't let you bash.
I
it.
can't. We're not going to be able to win if I don't just violently cheat.
Yeah. Well,
So
I
that's
think
what I had.
most people are violent cheating.
Yes.
Especially at the top.
Well, that's why this whole thing where people go, well, no, the people that run society, they're just like me. It's like, no, because they won this weird game to have control over you. And to do that, they played a fucked up game because you win when you cheat. So it's sort of it's sort of a theory where all winners are cheaters.
Yeah.
That I have, I believe.
Like all athletes take PEDs.
Of course they do. But then you just change the whole... All cheating is establishing a rule and saying, guys, don't go past this. And then with all athletes, they just go, well, I just invent a new drug and take that.
Yeah.
Because it's arbitrary what you've decided. But it's like this, like law is about the spirit of the law, not
Yeah.
the letter of the law. So when you're like, yeah, but I sort of... They just go, no, it's about the spirit of the law, you're arrested.
Well, that's like the rules of a game are just
But Peb's on... Yeah, what have you said?
banking is like the rule of the game is that everyone agrees with the value of money. In the same way everyone agrees that these are the rules of football.
But it's like, how could us, like, this is what I say to my dad, how could society be moral if it's not based on morality, it's just based on money? It's
Yeah.
like, that is
Well,
the
it's quite-
that is the mechanism, so it's going to boil down to
What does your dad
not the
think
person that
society
cares
is
about
moral?
you. No, this whole thing I was talking to him about, because one of his friends is now obsessed with conspiracies, and then he's like, she needs to come
The old COVID wake up.
yeah, he's like, she needs to come on the podcast. It's like, that'd be like insanely awkward.
Yeah. You think it's going to be cool.
This old woman.
We're talking about 9/11, but
Just using the toilet.
you don't know how some people sort of think about conspiracies.
Well, I was trying to
People believe it.
I was trying to explain to him like the reason people think so differently to you. You can't just say it's absurd. The fundamental difference is, so it's like a flow chart in my head. Firstly, do you believe in this like a pyramidal structure of control, that a small group of people could have control over this whole thing? Do you think this machine that we're inhabiting, this society, is just this chaotic, everyone doing their own thing?
Yeah.
But that's still within a set of morals and culture, so I don't see how that doesn't work for me either. Everyone's just doing their own sort of thing, and that's just amalgamating this structure that is the coincidental formation of everyone's just whims. Whereas I think everything is governed by something from a higher say density or a higher position, like in any sport and in anything. These things are governed from a higher position. So do you think it's this chaotic? A lot of really intelligent people think it's just this chaos that's going on. But I think everything is managed. When you look around you, you see your environment.
Yeah, of course it's all managed.
A town planner has managed everything we're seeing over thousands of years, and it's sort of like London is a chaos. But everything I'm looking at right now has been put there by a human for a reason. There's like obviously you can't see nature if you're in a city. This is so tangential.
No, but
so that's the main.
That's
the first crux for me. And then if you believe that things are organised, like a pyramid, like when you pour a bucket of sand down, it forms this structure.
Yeah.
I just think it's inherent. So if it is the case that we're governed by smaller and smaller increments of things governing other things, like in business or anything, then are the people at the top people that care about you or don't care about you? And everything that happens is going to stem from that, going to stem from their decision. It's going to extend from their principles. But then I say it's this principle of cheating, where the cheaters are going to get to the top. And if it's a society that's money-based and based around just not morality, then logically this structure has arisen. You don't need to give any. I don't need any proof. Like, well, look at this example and this example and this example. For me, it just logically follows that would be the situation.
Yeah, I think some people need to see the world as in the more chaotic sense.
No, but that allows them to see it as good.
Yes, exactly. Because then it doesn't mean that people are nefariously planning.
Yes, but
or at least on a big enough scale to affect you.
But I think I have the belief that fundamentally we are good, and the average person is good.
Yeah.
And they also want to share in that belief.
And that's why they're not.
And they say, well, I'm saying everything is bad. They're saying no, everything is sort of good. And I'm saying it could be a lot better. And they're saying no, it's pretty good. So I think it stems from that as well.
But then some people, the value systems that they have, I don't know whether they're innate or it's just influenced by the culture around us.
I think we are our culture, and our culture makes us, and the spiral that goes one way or another based on our consciousness, and it just changes with us, and we are it.
Yeah, it does.
It's the stupid thing that there's a Mos Def thing I'm obsessed with.
Most of
you know, the rapper where he's like, people are asking me how hip hop's doing. I'm going to ask them how you do.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like, Mos Def is simultaneously a genius and absolutely retard.
I saw a...
Is that how you even say his name?
Mos Def.
Yeah.
Apparently he uses the most amount of words. Words in raps. Like the most amount of different words, rather.
Yeah, I see these graphs.
Or maybe that was Aesop Rock.
Yeah, it was Aesop Rock.
Yeah.
But it's like he'll be really far down that scale.
Yeah.
Who uses the least?
That fuck J. Cole then.
Lil Pump. The least is the best.
Well,
I don't agree with
inverted proportion that you can make. I don't know. Is that indicative? Is that indicative of our state of consciousness that people who make a rap song with the least amount of words?
The only way consciousness can be plotted over time is through the increasing
words. The scale of how many words we
rap.
Yeah,
that is the one parameter by which we can measure ourselves.
That was that whole thing, conscious rap, that came out in like the 2010s. This was like when Kendrick and J. Cole first became big.
Has that fallen off? I feel like Joey Badass pioneered that. Actually, no, it's always been in rap.
It has always been rap, yeah. But there was like in the 90s there was
woke black people.
Yeah, that's true. That's so profound. But in the 90s it was gangster rap. dominated.
Yeah, but I think it still is just commercial. Now we've got like hyper commercial consumer rap that dominates.
Yeah, exactly.
Before it was like.
But
it's just this perpetuation of
very
culture and the divide between
Yeah.
white and black, and that's why I think they had gangster rap. I think Tupac was a ballet dancer, little gay boy, and they said,
Oh yeah, you do, don't you?
they said
I could be persuaded.
here's the keys to the cultural city. You're going to be gangster rap. But then Tupac would say, I didn't create thug life, I just diagnosed it. But diagnosis is creation, and it's just circling around. And I also think that it's circled around to be like, rappers know that people are going to judge them based on their vocabulary in a way, and they want to be smart rappers, so that's how they rap.
Yeah, but then that commercialism doesn't use that as a quality.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So rappers would say, when it was like Eminem in 8 Mile, and it was sort of just
8 Mile was so good
Yeah.
when it came out at our age.
oh yeah.
Like, I felt like I could really relate to it. So
I tried to be a rapper
we felt like we
for
could.
like 2 years
Remember at school?
when I was 12.
Remember at school when there was this arcade where everyone decides like how they're going to make money for charity,
Oh yeah.
and they're all like, I'm going to sell
I do
our.
remember.
Like, head of house was like, okay, the things that make
Oh,
money are just
yeah.
selling food. Like, just give people food, and they'll like, or like think of a really fun thing, like
Oh shit, I remember.
people doing fun things on stalls, and we were like, well, we're not just going to make a cake. No,
No.
we're going to do a rap battle.
Have you seen us? We're 2 young black men.
We've just seen 8 Mile, so we put all these tables together. We had this speaker and this microphone, and we had like a beat,
Yeah.
and we expected people from the whitest grammar school.
Country school.
There was one black person of the year, but I'm not saying
No,
it does
but-
correlate to the amount of rapping you're going to do, because we did have a rapper when we introduced the second black person, and he did rap.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so we expected people to stand on all these tables in this back room of our school.
I had the visions
and
that
rap.
there would be hundreds of bands.
We thought we were having a concert.
Yeah.
We essentially were.
We were trying to set up a concert in the back room.
The problem is we weren't selling ketamine.
And we couldn't rap.
So so everyone else has to come in after this thing and say like we made like £50 selling pies, or our water dunking contest made like £100, and there's a chili eating contest that's like the biggest thing that makes like
Yeah,
£500.
£500.
Yeah, it's like people train for the chili eating.
Yeah.
People would literally months in advance like start eating chilies and rubbing chilies on their balls.
On their balls.
And
yeah.
they would also cheat at
You know you have taste buds on your balls.
it. Do you?
Yeah.
Because the anus and the mouth is the same.
Just, 2 ends of a giant tube.
The human caterpillar is a profound philosophical study.
When you kiss another person, it's just 2 tubes connected at either end.
We're
with
the
an
shape
arse-
of
with
the
an
universe
arsehole.
is a donut because we're the shape of the donut as well.
That rap battle was
Yeah,
quite shameful.
it was so funny, but also
Because
we
there
didn't
wasn't
care
rap.
to make money either.
No.
And we was willing to take the stupidest, dumbest risk. But
How
then
much did we make?
£2. We made £2. So everyone comes in, and our like the head of our little part of the school was like, "You were obviously never going to make money with that," and I told you. And we're like, "Well, yeah, here's £2." And it was like, next year you're going to do
Is that
something.
£1 each given from us?
I think it was. I think we both did a rap. Like, who, as if people are going to like freestyle.
Yeah, I know.
It's too funny.
What planet were we living on? Who did we think we were surrounded by?
Well, we'd seen 8
We
Mile,
just watched 8 Mile.
and that's how film affects children, you know. It's
Yeah.
why cinema
Yeah.
needs to be banned.
I remember watching Step Up with the streets.
Thank God I never watched that.
And then immediately when it finished, I just went outside to the front lawn and started doing somersaults and like tap dancing and trying to just.
That's so
it was
cute.
so dumb. I was
That's
trying to
so
just do
cute.
handstands.
I have this
I was like,
feeling.
Mum, look at me. I'm a street dancer. My name's Jamal.
Mum, I'm black. You just covered yourself in black paint.
I did love black people when I was
Yeah,
younger.
that's why you went to America.
So funny. Look how things have changed.
They're going to come back full circle, don't worry. And they are.
Well, and I just love black people.
I see you're starting to.
I still do.
Yeah. But it's like I feel cinema as an autistic person is problematic in this evolutionary argument.
It can just
when you don't
implant-
believe in evolution that I take.
I think it can just implant. It's so
It's too powerful.
influential.
So we evolved.
Implant ideas.
Evolved in brackets.
And then we end up acting out. This is the whole thing with predictive programming. And then we end up acting out what we've seen. Or we
Yes.
bring into the world the conditions that we saw in the movie for things to happen, and then it seems like
the things inside us just
things
manifest
were
externally. And if you
predicted,
put this insane shit inside us, but I feel we have no barrier to film. The way it goes into our deep, like, subconscious is in a way that reality would, because we've evolved without. There's been no way to experience just realistic moving picture with sound, especially at the cinema. All these things come together in an experience your biology and your brain mechanisms wouldn't be able to distinguish from reality. So when you remember a film to when you remember a reality, you have to have that conscious switch that says that wasn't reality.
Yeah.
But I think when you access memory, how is that switch going to occur? And we're going to consider film reality on a subconscious memory level, especially when it's watched in a cinema. And I had that massive breakdown after I watched Hereditary.
Yeah.
And this plays into this.
Yeah. I think you're just quite.
I'm
I
too
think you're
sensitive.
right, but I also think you're very
I'm way too
susceptible and
sensitive.
sensitive to it. But I mean, there is that Google patent that shows that the TV and the electro microwaves that come from the TV do have like a quite profound impact.
Well, you can look at everything with a wave perspective, can't you? And it's just another way of.
I'm
having
trying to
this
say
discussion,
it's mind control. I'll show you the patent. It basically says it's mind control.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I know it is.
Um,
That's why I think the only TV that should be watched is reality TV, and that's why I only watch videos of the Kardashians on YouTube now. Because they're in this circular
Absolute
fart
freak.
of logic where they know they're on TV and they're acting like they're on TV, being on TV, and it just they're in this spiral of being
I'm
TV
sure
personas, and it's become their actual reality. So as the series develop, they become more and more polished. And now Kim Kardashian, she's like this smooth stone of unreality,
Right.
and
So now
she's become what she was always.
she's
this game
purely
she was always
acting
playing.
at that-
Yeah,
at that
no, but
point.
she is.
She's
She's no longer acting.
Right. But she is. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Yes. She's become so one with the show.
She's but one with reality, one with the consumer
reality
reality.
of the- yeah.
So she seeps into that oneness and understands. People say like she's famous for a porn video. It's like
Yeah.
there's so many. She's like the most famous person in the world, and think of all the other people that did incredible stuff. Like
Yeah.
I suppose Elon Musk could be one of the most famous people, like doing the most awesome stuff, like sending a car to space. Imagine how much of a genius you have to be to take a porn film to a level that surpasses everyone else. It's like she was working with nothing.
Yeah. They're
I
also.
just game has to respect game. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I know. I completely.
But people don't respect game when they say, how has this happened? It's like, well, you're not understanding the game, and therefore you're not respecting the game. You need to respect it. You need to respect Man United and Roy Keane, more importantly.
You have got to respect Roy Keane. Well, he demands respect, even out of babies. A baby would be crying. He'd walk into the room, and the baby would instantly stop
I
crying.
feel like my Kardashian YouTube thing that was like on autoplay, like transitioned to Roy Keane after about an hour, because I was working on my my architecture thing, and then suddenly
Really?
Roy Keane was just screaming at Gary Neville, and I was like, oh, thank God I'm back.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm back in reality.
I'm in the promised land. I'm just gonna go to the toilet.
I'm just gonna eat all these hobnobs.
You should. Always get more hot.
I respect this desk.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah, because I like these thin drawers. I think that's how I would have a desk.
Long and thin.
I would have this desk, but it would need to be 7 times as large.
Yeah, that's the only issue.
Thank you.
It's mildly too small.
I've been having these weird synchronicities recently. Like, one of our friends just asked me, what estate agent does your mum work at? And then now he's doing this weird
Project.
questioning thing. I don't know what he's doing. He'll have some project. You can see the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now he'll have some project that probably involves this. And he'll be trying to have some scheme to make the
Why did you say
Airbnb.
minor synchronous?
Because then I look here, and this is the one thing that's written there.
Oh, it says real estate.
That's
okay.
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that is weird.
And then I was talking to another of our friends yesterday, and this is the same WhatsApp group of people, like the climbing thing, where it's like, Rob was talking to me about Gap, because Kanye's joined, also relates to Kim. Kanye's like now, he wants to be the Steve Jobs of Gap, and Gap's, what's it called, market cap rose by $1 billion when this was announced, and they went up 43%.
Really?
I think they're still 20% down on the year, but it's so shocking. Like, if you have that
Oh, I
insider
didn't know.
information,
Yeah.
you've just made so much money. So I don't know how this maybe connects to Ben, and that he because as soon as that happened, I was like, Ben's going to be so. I've said his name now. He's going to be so upset.
Oh, there's no anonymity.
That's impossible. You have to be honest.
Yeah, I'm practicing radical honesty.
So I feel like that somehow ties together. But yeah, we were talking about Gap, and then I was walking through town, and I was outside Gap. Then I saw another of our friend's mum say to her partner, "Should we go to Gap?" So I walked past this store that I've been talking about to this person, and at that moment she goes, "Shall we go to Gap?" And I'm like, well, I really recognise you. And now because I look ridiculous, and I was in a yellow coat with my hood up, wearing these short shorts and sandals, because it was like hailing outside.
Nice. Perfect.
Obviously, I couldn't be like introducing myself because
perfect clothes to wear.
I looked insane, and also this beard, like no one can recognise me.
Yeah.
So I didn't say hi. But yeah, I just felt like that was another one. It's now mentioned.
Yeah, the synchronicities just continuously happen.
Apparently, there are signs. There's Tom Montauk.
No.
He's a great writer on alien shit, and saying alien shit's not alien shit, but it is actually alien shit.
I get you.
So he has this like long book / PDF about synchronicity and the 7 types of synchronicity and the way they.
Oh, that's really
So I'm
interesting.
going to consult them. It usually means something's about to happen to you.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be in on this
Something good or
synchronicity.
bad. Well, you probably are. Well, no, you are now because the real estate thing.
Probably bad.
And I knew you watched an F1 film.
You did. You didn't know, but you're saying you knew. Terrifying.
And the problem's weed.
Yeah.
That's not.
The problem is
That's when these things
THC
happen.
being
That's when these
pumped
things
into your
happen.
veins.
Synchronicity juice.
Someone would say, "Oh, that's just because you're more aware of synchronicities when you're high, because you're thinking more." I don't know.
That can't be debated, I don't think.
No, and the way like
And we just moved in
You
here,
just
and
see
it
it.
just got the text about that exact topic.
that's very strange.
And the thing yesterday.
I like that.
I'll keep you posted.
It'd be interesting.
You'll see it on the news. Man has died in southern England.
In a real estate and Gap accident
Killed in a Gap.
building.
Robbery. Riot outside Gap.
Makes me think of a movie. Or maybe that's just such a basic plot line for a movie. Man keeps on seeing signs around town.
It's like all films with Jim Carrey. Films with Jim Carrey.
Schizophrenia films.
Yeah. Schizophrenia is just getting all the information at once. I said this last time.
Yeah, that's a really. I think you're right. I like that way of saying it.
So we've got to toe the fine line between schizophrenia and understanding. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I think it's a terrible thing to say because then I'm moving towards that.
you're moving towards schizophrenia.
Don't say that. You think that?
No. But on a, what is it? On a long enough line, everything returns to schizophrenia.
2 lines on a 2-dimensional plane will always touch unless they're parallel. And one line is schizophrenia and the other line is me.
But that's where you've got to go to the emotion behind schizophrenia.
Yes, deal with the emotion.
Yeah.
That's what I've been learning about in the book Letting Go.
Yeah.
So before.
Let go of the schizophrenia.
No, the schizophrenia is a concept, a bullshit concept for people that know the future.
Yeah.
It's like witches. Like witches were burned.
Mm.
Schizophrenics were put in mental institutions. I feel that is true.
Yeah.
They're just modern witches. And now they were lobotomized. So instead of burning them, their brains were just cut in half.
And then try and make them. Well.
It's like the Temple OS guy we were talking about.
Yeah. There's that. I'm just going to slow down now because my brain is suddenly in a.
We could end
hazy
any time. I
THC.
think we've been talking for a while.
Yeah. We can end it and always return to it.
Yeah.
When I'm slightly less retarded.